The president's student loan handout plan currently blocked by federal court, but apparently he didn't get the memo.
If you don't have one of those loans, you just get $10,000 written off. It's passed. I got it passed by a vote or two, and it's in effect.
In an op-ed, legal expert Jonathan Turley argues this gaffe may come back to haunt the president, saying, quote, "It is likely to be raised by challengers in the next stage of litigation. It also may reflect a moment of actual clarity in his subconscious mind, a faint recognition of the constitutional principles he once defended." Fox and Friends Weekend co-host Will Cain, who's also an attorney, joins us now. Good morning to you, Will.
Good morning, Ainsley.
Good morning. I mean, he said not only was it passed by Congress, he said it was passed by a vote or two. Both of those statements are false. Is he just making up these numbers? Is he confused?
That's a great question, isn't it? Is this a gaffe or is this a lie? Either way, it's supported by the historical record of Joe Biden. You know, we have the latest news in the last couple of days reported by the Wall Street Journal that there are people inside the Saudi crown prince's inner circle who said he has mocked Biden, undoubtedly because of questions about his competence and whether or not what he's saying makes any sense. Russia, of course, and Vladimir Putin don't seem to be too impressed with the words or the actions or the threats or the bravado of Joe Biden. So if he's just stumbling around as he is in foreign relations, well, that would make sense. He's done it in the past. We know he's a machine that produces gaffes. But if it's calculated, if it's a lie, well, that's kind of supported as well. Ainsley, I mean, you know, for the last couple of years, he said blatantly that, for example, on one occasion, on one instance here, that the vaccine will stop transmission. He and his administration said that numerous times. There's been no real correction of the record or apology. So I don't know. I don't know if it's a gaffe or it's a lie. The effect is the same either way. I mean, the effect is to hide the truth from the American people. This was not passed by Congress. This was done by executive action and is the subject of litigation.
Yeah, he bypassed Congress on this one, but the court, the Eighth Circuit Court of Appeals, has temporarily blocked it, saying nothing about loan cancellation is lawful or appropriate. But the White House is trying to clarify his remarks. They say the president was referring to the Inflation Reduction Act, which reduced the deficit by hundreds of billions of dollars, creating room for other crucial programs. As you know, no Republican voted for the Inflation Reduction Act in the House or in the Senate, where it passed by a single tie-breaking vote by Vice President Harris. So not only they're trying to clarify it, and then they add how bad the Republicans are because they didn't support it.
So I was talking about something else. I don't know. Is that what he was talking about? Look, he is confusing or lying to the American people. That's what's important here.
Will.
And
sorry to cut you off, but this is what I mean. If you're a mechanic or you're an electrician or you're a plumber, why should you pay for a kid to go to Harvard? They're supposed to pay for Harvard. What if they got loans out to open a shop or to buy equipment? Is the government going to pay off those loans?
No doubt. I mean, as to the actual substance of the bill, I'm with you 100%. I don't have any reason that we should be paying off the loans of the debt of elite college students. Why blue-collar people should have to be paying for these big-time bills racked up by those who now don't want to pay their bills. Absolutely, I'm with you on the substance of the bill. And the president might be with us as well, Ainsley, because he doesn't seem ready to defend this bill to the public. Instead, pretend like it was passed by Congress.
Yeah, well, I mean, they signed on the dotted line that they were going to pay that loan back. It's not a freebie.
Yeah.
Military members, we asked them for free college to sacrifice their lives, possibly. So thank you so much, Will, for coming on with us.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.